If you acknowledge the reality that you are getting fat only by overeating, looking at that means accepting that that is what you're doing. It means that, oh, I am responsible for this. I did this. And that's what people do not want to look at. That is, they will go la 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 la, anything.
So I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream at the top of my lungs, what's going on? And I say, hey.
Hello, my lovely crew members, newcomers, but most importantly, my beloved OGs. Welcome to another video. I'm your host, Lucy, aka Lucifer, and I'm a former obese girl turned bodybuilder. Today, I figured we could indulge in a little bit more TikTok insanity. But before we do, I would like to congratulate ourselves. Not for a milestone or anything, but just because we are awesome. As you know, I'm not only trying to grow my muscles, I'm also trying to grow the most badass and amazing crew on YouTube. And so far, it seems to be going really well, because when I look at my comment section and the people who are there, all of you seem to be very cool and interesting people, and I feel very happy and proud to have you watching my videos and engaging with the content and telling me your stories. It is really a joy, and yeah, I'm very proud to have you on board. If you want to join our crew and become a crew member as well, then hit the subscribe button, but only if you're cool. If I look a bit busted, that is because I'm a little bit under the weather and I am perpetually blowing my nose. So if there are some weird cuts in this video, that's just me cutting out my very numerous nose blowing. I'm sorry. But now, without any further ado, let's lose some brain cells together, shall we? So this is your reminder that a healthy body also looks like this. It doesn't, because obesity is unhealthy. You're creating a health risk for yourself, a comorbidity. So no, a healthy body doesn't look like an obese body. In the same way that an underweight body is likely also not healthy, or a stage lean open bodybuilder is also not healthy. There are levels to this. But yeah, being severely overweight is just not healthy. Having too much adipose tissue is not healthy, and I think we should stop pretending that it is. I don't think, like, I believe in body positivity, right? You shouldn't like wait for your body to be any shape to start loving yourself or find yourself beautiful. A lot of rather thick ladies are rather attractive. But yeah, it doesn't mean that we have to be delusional about it and say that it's healthy. I think we can say that, oh yeah, being morbidly obese is, or even being obese, or even being rather overweight, it's not healthy. It's not a sign of good health. And I think we can state that fact and acknowledge that fact and live in the reality that we live in, where that is a fact, without associating, again, any morality to that or any beauty standards. Like I said, you can be obese and super gorgeous. You can be underweight and still look beautiful. But that doesn't change that it is not healthy. So you can be like, do your attractive dance as much as you want. It's not going to make you any healthier.
This is a pretty horrific thing to be seeing on your way out somewhere, your commute somewhere, you're going from A to B, and you're just accosted with this BS, basically. I am so sick of the medicalized fatphobia and the O word. Fat bodies aren't a disease.
Yeah, but obesity is a disease. I said it. I said the O word. It's also just a word. It's a descriptor. It's not. Personally, I don't think it's a slur. It's just you're just calling it what it is. And obesity is classified as a disease, which, to be honest, I'm not even sure I agree with that, because a disease is something you contract. Some people say it could be a social disease, because if you tend to hang out with people or are raised by people with certain eating habits, yeah, you're likely to contract those eating habits. But ultimately, it is something that, that you have control over. So it's always self-inflicted, whether that is intentionally or unintentionally. Like, don't get me wrong, I have a lot of empathy, and I don't think at all that being obese or getting morbidly obese is a moral failing of any kind. Like, there are a lot of situations, a lot of reasons why people end up in that situation, but ultimately you're the only one who can help yourself out of it, and it is your responsibility. That's, no matter what happened and how you ended up there, it is your own responsibility to help yourself out of that, and nobody else can do it for you. So yeah, they say obesity is a disease. That's what it classifies as, but it's definitely not something good and not something neutral. Obesity is bad, it's harmful, and it removes a lot of people from the census every year.
Fat bodies are just bodies. They're just bodies. I'm not sick. I don't need curing from anything. And
Well, not yet, but just give it some time.
you could do all of the kind of O word kind of medicine that you like. It's not medicine, it's interference. Often unwanted.
Well, yeah, you can't help an addict that doesn't want to get helped. They like I said, it has to come from within. The motivation has to be intrinsic. Otherwise, it's the same with people that have the opposite end of the spectrum. I think saying Anna on YouTube is allowed. I'm still new to this stuff. So yeah, people with Anna, right? Like, I've heard, I'm not an expert on that at all, but I heard people getting forced to get help and get the tube or whatever, and then they get released, and then it's just going to be the same thing all over again. Like, you literally cannot help an addict like you had, except by getting them to a point where they want to help themselves.
Often snake oil doesn't even work anyway. You could do all of that you want and people would still be fat.
Well, you know what always works 100% of the time? Calorie deficit.
Because that's how bodies are. Some bodies are just fat.
No, nobody is born fat. Nobody is born obese. Some people have messed up hunger cues. Like me, my baseline is just being like, I always want to eat, right? But this is how it is. Yeah.
Some bodies are just fat. Please get over it. And I hate when people say, well, the O word, it's just medical. It's a medical term. Oh, it's just medical. It's science. Once upon a time, science considered being gay a disease. So excuse me if I don't take full stock of what science says is cool.
Yeah, but has being gay ever ended someone just from being? Did anyone ever gay so hard they're off themselves just from like existing as a gay? I don't think so. On the other hand, the obesity, again, does that like to so many people every year. I have to look up the stats. I'll blend some stats in now about because I think it is one of the leading causes of ending people. And I'm still not used to talking around the self-censorship. You know, I watch a lot of YouTube, and I hear YouTubers self-censor, all the time. But now that I'm trying to do it myself, I'm not quite used to it yet. Like, in other videos, I had to like do another take and so on, because I'm like, damn, I said the word.
You'll allow me to consider that sometimes science could be wrong, that it could need catching up, that perhaps all of that fat people might have a point, and that it's science that needs to update its terminology.
This is so crazy. Like, there is so much actual science, right? Provable science that we there is just this abundance. This is the same thing as like flat earthers. It reminds me so much of flat earthers. And it's like, it's just this huge cope, like, oh, but what if we're medical mysteries? What if the science is wrong? And then it's not actually, because if you look at the science, and the crux of all of this is that if you acknowledge the reality that you are getting fat only by overeating, looking at that means accepting that that is what you're doing. It means that, oh, I am responsible for this. I did this. And that's what people do not want to look at. That is, they will go la 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 la, anything before accepting that fact. And again, it's not a moral failing. There is nothing wrong. You know, it happens. Things happen. We all do stuff. Maybe you're perfect. You've never made any mistakes in life. You've never gone down the wrong path or something. Well, a lot of us have, and for a lot of people that ends up being getting obese or morbidly obese. And personally, I've only been on the very low end of obesity. So yeah, my experience with obesity, even I was obese, is limited. But yeah, wait, now I lost my train of thought. Yeah, right. This fear of taking accountability and being like, oh yeah, I have made myself fat through my actions and through my eating habits. But then it gives them the power. The thing is, once you accept this fact, it gives you the power to change. And again, at the core of this is they externalize it. They really want it to be outside of their control. That's why you always hear this, oh, it's all of this other stuff that affects your weight. It's society, it's racism, it's politics, I don't know, patriarchy, you name it. All the isms. And it's never like, yeah, it's like anything. They will do anything and say anything and jump through any mental hoops just to make it so or frame it so that it's outside their control. Because then it's not there, then they can't do anything about it. Then they don't have to change their habits. Then they don't have to even examine their habits. Then they don't have to actually check, oh, am I actually eating that healthy? Am I actually eating okay, or is this just in my mind? That is very hard to do. But you have nothing to lose. I promise you have nothing to lose. You have only to gain.
And the way we view fat people needs to change, maybe. Perhaps that's the thing that has to be different. Perhaps what we don't need is adverts like this, demonizing bodies like mine and others. Perhaps we could do with some adverts that remind people, I don't know, that fat people are people too. Perhaps we could do with some posters being like, hey, stop treating fat people badly.
Yeah, but how did this poster treat anyone badly? It's just like, oh yeah, if the poster had the vibe of, oh yeah, if obesity is holding you back, then we can help you or something. But yeah, don't treat fat people bad or anything. And nobody is demonizing fat people. Yeah, fat people are people too. They are just people who have eaten too many calories. That's it. It's that simple.
That just makes you a piece of shit. Perhaps the O word isn't the problem. Perhaps it's the intention behind it that damages people.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like any word can be an insult if it's said mean-spirited enough.
Can we yap about something really quick? I'm a mom of 2 boys. I have a 4-year-old and I have a 2-year-old. And there are several things that I am intentional about how I am raising them. That really all centers around them having the emotional wherewithal to discern when something is bullshit. The goal here is to raise men who are not falling for red pill bullshit, not falling for fatphobic bullshit, and not the kind of people who get into a partnership as an adult and have to relearn how to be an adult. We're going to talk about the fatphobia part. I have spent the majority of my life, all of my adult life, the majority of
I'm so worried where this is going to go.
my life, in a fat body. I am fat. It's a neutral term in this household. When you grow up a fat
Yeah, but you don't have to be fat.
person, there is a lens that you are afforded, although I don't know that afforded is necessarily the right word here, where you are more aware, socially conscious of systemic barriers. Because as a fat person, you are navigating the world in a way where you are unbelievably conscientious of the fact that you are in a fat body and the way that you have to move throughout society. So I knew going into motherhood and parenthood that at some point, my body size, my weight, would become a relevant topic for my children. Not in the sense that...
Yeah, but, she looks like she is significantly overweight, right? I'm like, wouldn't you want to lose weight for your children? Especially if you know that, I mean, do you not want to be around for your children as long as possible? But let's see where she's taking this.
That they're necessarily having conversations with me, although I assume that that will happen at some point too. More so that it'll be brought up about me to them, or that conversations around fatness will be brought up to them without me. And it's really important to me that they have the kind of framework to understand fatness as a neutral thing, that there are many other...
Here's the thing. Fatness is not neutral. The term, the word fat, yeah, that's neutral. That's a descriptor. That's neither here nor there. But fat in itself is hormonally active, right? Yeah, being like a couple kilos overweight, it's not gonna do that much harm. But being significant, like holding on to an excessive amount of adipose tissue or fat like she is, that is not neutral. That is called a core morbidity for a reason. It's a health risk. And it's arguably one of the biggest enders of humans on this earth. It's dangerous. And it shouldn't be condoned or promoted. I mean, it's, yeah, if you're fat, you're fat, cool. If you're happy with it, I believe in bodily autonomy. I'm not going to run around this. I wouldn't tell someone to not be fat if they want to be fat. The same way I'm not going to tell someone to stop smoking if they don't want to stop smoking. I might tell a friend, like, hey, a friend that I'm close with, that I care about, like, hey, maybe you want to stop smoking because it's not healthy and I want you around, Same with alcohol, right? If someone close to me was drinking a bit too much and is affecting their health, then yeah, I would let them know, like, hey, this is dangerous, and I think you would be better off if you put a lid on that, right? Because you care about them. And it's the same thing with holding on to excessive fat, overeating that much. It's not healthy. And I think especially if you're a parent, and I'm not a parent, right? That is as far from what I want to do with my life as possible. That is not what I would do, but I can only imagine, like, if you have a child, like, you would want to be there for them as long as possible. Like, I'm thinking about Ilona, my friend. She has a child, and she was bodybuilding before as well, right? And that's not, I mean, competitive bodybuilding at least is pretty extreme, and that's not a healthy practice. Especially when you're taking gear and stuff. And she completely stopped doing that because now she has a child to focus on, like, that she wants to be there for. So now her training and her whole lifestyle is just for, being there for that child. So that just kind of like irks me the wrong way when I hear people talking like this. Like, what are you teaching your child? I think it's a bit toxic. So I think harmful is too strong of a word maybe, but I don't think this is the right approach. Let me know in the comments if I'm super off base here, but...
indicators of health and unhealthy behavior that don't get the same kind of scrutiny or considered the same kind of moral failure that fatness does. And so I was a little surprised. I have to say I was a little bit surprised.
Like what though? I mean, like I said, to me at least, like, smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol deserves the same scrutiny, especially in the setting of a household with children in them. Like, children look up to you, they look at your behaviors and what you're doing, and they learn from that. And if you're there consuming an absolute excess amount of calories that is keeping you morbidly obese, then what are you teaching your children? That might sound mean, but I grew up, when I was growing up and I was a young teenager and I had issues with obesity, I wasn't alone because my mom also was obese. And there wouldn't have been a Nutella drawer in the house if she hadn't put that there. Let's put it like that. Like, my obesity issues were kind of my own. I made a video about what triggered that and how I got into that. But again, the only reason, like, I was a teenager, I couldn't buy my own food or something. So at least to a small degree, yeah, my mom was like a little bit responsible for that. Like yeah, she was struggling with obesity as well for far longer than I have. But when I got that coping mechanism issue, it was, I guess, easier for me than for other children to accommodate that, because yeah, there were a lot of carb sources in the house. But let's continue.
Surprised when my 4-year-old at the dinner table a few days ago was saying something about one of his friends making comments about fatness. And I don't remember exactly how he brought this up, but it did have something to do with like consumption of food and his friend saying that if you eat too much food, you'll blow up like a balloon and blow away. It's a silly 4-year-old concept, right? A lot of people could say, that's not that big of a deal, whatever, don't make a big stink out of it. I don't even really want to say that I made a big stink out of it, but I will say that I immediately said, hey, where'd you hear that? Because I'm already alert to the fact that these conversations would happen.
Yeah, but what did he say wrong? Like, if you do eat a crazy amount of food, you are going to blow up. You're not going to turn into a balloon and float away, quite the opposite, but you do get big.
But I wasn't expecting it to be at 4 years old. Now, can I be totally surprised? Not really, because diet culture is very, very popular right now, as it usually is. And anytime there's a conservative president, capitalism is running rampant, basically unchecked. So the sign of the times.
Why do we always turn this into a political thing? Like, why are people politicizing health and fitness? That's just weird. I think that's what I love about the gym and fitness. It's something where we can all see eye to eye from like wherever on the aisle you fall politically. Like it's such a nice thing that everyone can talk to each other about and unite over. And I don't think it needs to. Yeah, never mind. That is a discussion for another day, maybe.
Would suggest that these conversations would be happening soon, but I'm still pretty shocked that a 4-year-old's talking about this, right? And I don't know that it's even relevant or necessary for me to walk you through the conversation that I had with him after that, other than to say that I was very, very particular to point out to him that fatness is not a bad thing, that his mom is fat and has a fat tummy. He loves my fat. He has.
So you're teaching your child that there is nothing negative about being morbidly obese. Okay?
Has made me love my body in ways that are different. Like, ooh, that might make me emotional. He regularly runs full speed ahead into my body and loves to rest his head on my arms and talk about my squishy arms. He like praises my body for it, right? And I also don't make a big deal out of him saying things like that either, because I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing, because he's being loving and gentle. And those are things that I really love and appreciate about him. And I'll tell him I love when he is kind and gentle. But I do think that I need to say that whoever sees this, I'm kind of just shipping this out to the void. If you are a parent or have any kind of responsibility over children, I think it's really important that you're conscientious about the way that you talk about bodies and fatness and consumption of food. Because even though the message is silly, that you're going to blow up like a balloon and blow away, there's an underlying notion there that that's a bad thing. And don't hear something I'm not saying.
It is a bad thing. It is a bad thing to blow up like a balloon.
I do want my kids to learn and understand to respect their body. I do want them to understand at some point that over-consuming of food can be unhealthy. But what I don't want is their inner monologue telling them that what they're doing is shameful or out of control, or that somebody who is in a...
Yeah, but it can be out of control. And for her, it clearly is out of control. It is out of control. Otherwise, you don't get that big.
The bigger body is somehow less virtuous. I could absolutely keep going, but I think I'll just stop there.
I don't know, that one kind of pissed me off. Let's next one.
It's pretty crazy to have like every other medical person be like, miscarriage happens, it's so common. There's nothing that you did to cause it. And on. But then there's just this one provider who's like, so I can't tell you that you're gonna have a normal pregnancy because you're so fat. By the way, how soon do you want to get pregnant again? You should probably lose weight first because you don't want to have another miscarriage due to your fatness. Super cool.
So you had a bunch of medical professionals who weren't honest with you, and then you had one who was honest with you and told you very important information. I'm no expert on the subject. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I understand, obesity is a risk factor for pregnancy. And it would probably be ideal to remove that risk factor before having a child, for the sake of the child. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. If it's actually perfectly safe and just as safe to give birth when you're obese or not obese, then please tell me. But I thought that is also a risk factor for that. So, yeah. But I guess we get angry at doctors when they tell us things we don't want to hear.
Okay, so fat phobia is real, right? Cool. Fat phobia is also real in the fat community. Hear me out. Listen to understand. Don't listen to respond. Fat people are also fat phobic. And I promise you a lot of people will come online and say, that's not true, da 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 da. But think about it. How many times do you actually see a fat person dating another fat person? Aside from the fact that they've been dating since they were like maybe in high school or in college and they turned fat, that happens. But I'm talking about someone who is actively fat dating another person who is actively fat. Not much, right? Right. So
this is actually true. It's very rare that I see a fat person dating another fat person. Yeah, aren't they always yapping on about, oh, you should like date fat people and you're just indoctrinated to not date fat people? Then lead by example.
The problem is that fat people want to date skinny people, and then when skinny people don't want to date them, they call that fat phobic, but then they don't want to go around and date fat people. You're fat phobic.
Yeah, as you know, newsflash, it's okay to have preferences.
Phobic towards yourself, towards your own community. Let's be so fucking for real. You gotta also take into account if you are a plus size person and you wanna date someone who's fit, these people who are fit essentially wanna date people who they can work out with. And if you're not willing...
This is so true. Coming from me as a fit person who already like one relationship broke from the fact that I was so into bodybuilding and my lifestyle was so into fitness, like it's not possible to date someone who isn't with that. It doesn't work. I guess it's possible. I mean, I've heard supposedly that some people make that work, but no, like I need someone who has the same priorities, right?
Guys, I went to go do a BMI assessment today and got casually fat shamed, which was not a very nice feeling. She saw my body composition and saw that my body fat was a lot and started very dismissively assuming that I don't eat well and I don't eat clean or right, despite me telling her that my food is like, really good and it's a...
Well, your food can be really good and amazing and very nutritious, but if you eat too much of it, you're gonna get fat. That you can see that on your body.
Nutritionist approved that I eat clean meals. She did not ask me anything about my history. She asked me nothing about my eating habits. She just said, your body fat is so high because you're not eating right.
Yes, I mean, again, you can eat the most nutritious food possible, but if you eat too much of it, like you can see if someone is not eating right. Like being obese, you can see on your body that you're eating too many calories. That's what it comes down to. If those calories are pizza and McDonald's, or if those calories are steak and avocado, doesn't really matter in regards to your weight. Let's put it like that. It's literally just like you eating too many calories. So no, you're not eating right. Whether that be through eating too much nice and quality food. I think I hear an Indian accent, and Indian food is very good. I am not opposed to Indian food at all. It is absolutely delicious, but it's also very calorically dense. I mean, they put a lot of butter in. Butter chicken. Oh my god. When I went to Dubai, there's a lot of Indians in Dubai, and I went to this Indian place and I had some butter chicken and it was so good. Okay, anyway, that's beside the point, but yeah, it is very easy to get fat on Indian food, for example, which is all very healthy ingredients, but a lot of calories and very easy to overeat on. So yeah, you don't need to be a nutritionist to see whether or not someone is eating right or wrong, because eating too much calories qualifies as eating wrong as well. Eating wrong doesn't just mean living off ice cream. Eating wrong can also mean overeating way too much unhealthy food, which is arguably a lot better than eating too much ice cream. But nonetheless, neither is healthy and both is eating wrong.
And I'm like, no, I eat well, I eat clean. And she's still like insisting that, no, this cannot be like this because you're not eating right. And I kept saying, I eat right. But she kept making remarks that were not very nice. And she went as far as like, making a gesture saying, are you sure? Hey, yeah, and I'm just like, at this point, at a loss of words, because it's not very nice or motivating that when you go to get a BMI assessment done and a personal trainer is telling you these things in such a dismissive manner. I'm glad.
I mean, yeah, this is true. Like, if you're a professional and you're trying to give someone motivation or actually help them get into the mindset to change themselves, then the delivery does matter. And I think this is something medical professionals should be trained on, because speaking from my own experience, I mean, I'm even surprised that there was a nutritionist there and stuff like that, because a lot of medical professionals aren't trained in terms of nutrition, like, at all, put it like that. Like, I used to be obese, and when I had health issues and chronic inflammation, they would go like, oh yeah, you're chronically inflamed, you have to lose weight, you're fat. And they were not particularly nice about it as well. And me being an angsty teen with no self-esteem, and I was just like, oh, I'm such a failure, I'm disgusting, and I don't even know what inflammation means. And they're just telling me to lose weight. I don't know what the calorie is, I don't know what macros are, and they didn't explain anything to me either. Like, what do they expect you to do? Surprised that they had a nutritionist there, but the delivery absolutely matters. I mean, if you have the health of your patients at heart, I mean, ultimately, they are there to give you medical advice. If they say it in whatever tone of voice, it is just medical advice. But I think it should be preferred to at least deliver it kindly, because sometimes people really are a bit mean to overweight and fat people for no reason, more than they would be to thinner patients. I have seen this, and I'm willing to die on this hill. Like, medical fat phobia exists. Medical fat phobia isn't when someone tells you, oh yeah, your BMI is too high, this is a risk factor. That's not medical fat phobia. But it is true that doctors like to be more, not all doctors, but more dismissive and just less kind to overweight patients, at least in my experience. Like, it is really true. Like, it has changed how people have treated me in that regard as well. So yeah, that is a thing, but let's continue.
My best friend shut her down and said this to her face because I think it's very rude coming from people in the industry in fitness when someone fat is going to, like, you know, get these things done and they're on a journey. Like, I'm doing everything right. And I know certain factors affect your BMI and things. Like, you know, she could have started by saying that, you know, food is one factor, but also your sleep and also your hydration and all of these.
Well, sleep and hydration have not much to do with the amount of fat that you store in your body. They all affect your weight, but not in a drastic manner. So cortisol, like less sleep can spike your cortisol, and your hydration, your salt intake obviously determines like how much water you're storing on your body, but it's not gonna have a huge impact on what your BMI is gonna be. Unless you have some serious underlying health issues where your body will store exorbitant amounts of, I forgot the name for the disease, but that is quite dangerous. But that's like really rare. Like, I'm not super well informed on this, but yes, like it's not going to make an enormous difference to your BMI.
Other things are also a factor. She only assumed that I don't eat right because I am currently fat, which was not very nice. This is like the same as going to a doctor with a headache.
Yeah, but again, you can see that someone isn't eating right. Like you can visually see that. Although he said he's on a journey, so who knows? Maybe he's already eating properly. So that could be the case. And in which case, yeah, I mean, obviously the doctor should ask, hey, like, are you tracking your food, maybe, you know? Because if he does, then that conversation could have been a lot more productive with a lot more information. But yeah, let's see.
And the doctor says, oh, it's only because you're fat. I literally felt the same way. I don't know. I've been very upset about this whole thing, this whole day. And I feel like, you know, the situation could have been handled better. Did she struck her nerve? Yes. But also, did she cross the line? Of course. I don't think she should have said it like that. I just want to say I'm someone who is like 2 kgs away from losing 40 kilos in about 6 months. And that takes a lot of discipline, a lot of consistency. And it was very demotivating, this whole experience today. And I feel like, you know, you guys in this industry.
Yeah, so he is on a journey, and he already did make a lot of progress. Well, that is different then, you know. So yeah, in that case, did he actually tell that to the person that was examining him? Because that's very, very important information. Because yeah, if you see someone who is with excessive body fat, you know they have eaten themselves that way, since there's no other way. So you know they don't have the best relationship with food. But if they're already losing weight and they're already doing that, you know, then that would be a good thing to know. I think that if he just said that, then that probably would have dissolved the whole situation, I guess.
In fitness industry, I don't know. You guys could do better than this. It's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, in that case, I agree with him. Like, you should never be demotivating for people. You want to hype people up to give their best. And especially if it's in like a medical setting, or you get like your assessment or whatever from a nutritionist and a personal trainer. If I if I was a personal trainer, one of the first, like, if I was even just consulting someone, I would probably ask about their eating habits as well, because it's important, you know, for their goals. So and if then they didn't want to hear a reply from him, yeah, then they are absolutely in the wrong for that. That is not very nice.
Would you tell your Great Dane to lose weight because it needs to weigh the same or look the same as a Chihuahua? Obviously not, because they're different dog breeds and they're meant to have different body types and different sizes and shapes. So why do you come onto this app and you see a gorgeous tiny lady who, for her, that's good for her and that's how her body's meant to be? Why do you then look in the mirror and you're like, oh, I just need to look like her, I need to lose weight because then I would look like her and that's like the perfect body shape for me?
We're not different breeds. We're all humans. This analogy I don't think this analogy holds up.
No, we're all humans, but we're all different body shapes and sizes. And if you are someone who naturally maybe has wider hips, stores weight in different places than someone else, your body is not going to be healthy at a really low weight and you're not going to feel good, your hair's going to start falling out.
I mean, look, obviously, if you're a tall human being, then you're gonna weigh a lot more, even when you're thin, than someone who's 5'2". Obviously. But that doesn't mean you can't be thin if you want to.
You're going to have low bone density, you might lose your period, all these things. And for those of you in the comments that are like,
You have to be extremely lean to lose your period, though. Like, you would have to be extremely lean. That is, you would have to be unhealthily lean.
this small and I'm healthy, that's fine, that's good for you. You are meant to be a chihuahua, but some of us are meant to be different shapes and sizes, the same way that all dogs are still dogs, but there's different shapes and sizes of dogs and you.
Yeah, but no, that's different. Like, there are different dog breeds. They're like completely different. In this analogy, it's more like we're all Great Danes, but we're differently sized Great Danes. Or if you want, we can also all be the Chihuahua, I don't care. But we're all the same. Like, we're not different dog breeds.
You would never tell the Great Dane to lose weight to be the same weight as a Chihuahua because it would be so stupid and unhealthy for it. So why do we do the same for women? We're all different shapes and sizes, we're all different heights, we all have different body parts and body types, so we do not need to all fit into one category and one beauty.
I mean, yeah, this is true. Here's the thing also, like, if you see someone and you're like, oh, I want their physique, you can never have their physique. You can only ever have your physique. Because, again, how small your waist can be is determined by your rib cage. Some people are blessed with a super tiny rib cage. But maybe you have another thing, like for the hourglass figure, if you have broader shoulders and wider hips, that's going to also make your waist look smaller in proportion. So your bone structure is going to be specific to you. So it's nice to have inspirations. I obviously love to look at other bodybuilders, but ultimately I am only ever going to have my bones and my muscle insertions. Did I wish that I had the shorter bubbly quad insertions so you can get like them like really wide looking up top from the front? Yeah, of course. But I don't have those insertions, and that's fine. We all have our own individual. I would just focus on being the best version of yourself. And if you want to be on the thinner side of things, that is fine, as long as you're not too unhealthily thin. If you want to be a bit thick and curvy, go ahead, have fun. As long as you're not unhealthily thick, that is not something I would aspire to. But ultimately, again, we all have free will. If you want to achieve a physique that's a bit more extreme, then who am I to stop you? I mean, that would be very hypocritical, because I want to be female Broly. So I want to get extremely massive, and that's pretty extreme as well, especially when you're competing and such, because yes, when you're in prep, you're not going to have your period either, putting your body under a lot of stress. Even if prep is temporary, but nonetheless, that is as cool as bodybuilders look on stage, that is not healthy. That is too lean. Don't live like that. Like, for competition is fine, but like I don't know how other people exist. That seems like hell when I think about being prep lean, and that some people just do that to themselves for extended periods of time. Oh my god, I can't even imagine. Like, how do you even do that? And that must be like, I don't know, I've only ever known, like I said, I've only ever known a little bit of obesity, but I think the other end might actually be worse. At least from a daily existence, although I guess super morbidly obese, like on my 600-pound life type, that is probably extremely uncomfortable as well and very painful. But man, like being so lean, I'm thinking about Eugenia Cooney. Like, that must feel so, like you can't even, when you're that lean, you can't even sit down properly. Like, unless it's like properly cushioned. I remember this, right? I was going to the after the gym, I was going to the spa, and I hadn't been in a week or so, and I just dropped more weight, and I got to the point where sitting became an issue. And I've never been that lean before at that time, and I wasn't prepared. And I'm just like, I normally, like I sit down on the wooden sauna thing, right? Oh my god, my tailbone. that hurts so much. If you don't have any fat in your behind and surrounding area, it's like your bones are out there and it hurts because there's nothing to cushion you. So it's really uncomfortable to sit down or to lie down, and it feels like if you get super lean, like it's like you can feel your, it's hard to explain. It's like you can feel your skeleton or something. It's just, it gets weird. Like at the very end when you're like super lean, it feels weird. It looks cool, but it starts to, like I don't know how people live like that perpetually. That's actually actual hell. Okay, I think for now I'm gonna leave it at that. Let's do this again soon. The weekly members video should also go up today or tomorrow when you're seeing this. And for now, as always, I gonna love you and leave you. I'll see you in the next video. And now quick shout out to the members, the crew members. I'm also trying to grow the most badass and coolest